What has been my biggest surprise on the job? Okay, so this one's pretty good. So one is I had to really learn how flexible and adaptable I had to be in this career. Um, I had a different sense of what school counseling might have been. It seemed like a more, and relaxing kind of career, but it's far from that. But it's actually still very enjoyable. Um, some of the feelings I've gone through, while I'm on the job, I could feel useful and resourceful and intelligent and helpless and frustrated and lost all in one day. You go through so many things. You speak to so many students, and some of them you could definitely, hit the nail on the head, and you're like, I know what the solution is. I can work with this student, and then sometimes you're left with, oh my God, I don't know what to do with this student. I don't know how to help. What do I do? So you can definitely have all kinds of different emotions and ideas throughout the entire day. One another big surprise was managing relationships, and that's including students and staff. So sometimes you'll be in our school we have what we call houses. So there's select clusters in our school where the students are kind of around each other most of the day. So as it tends to happen, you have tons of people within the same geographical area, and they're interacting. Eventually, someone's going to have an issue. Someone's going to have some beef. So it's interesting when you bring students in who are not necessarily getting along, and they're all telling you their sides of the story. It's in the same conflict. So it's tough when you get along really well with your students, and then they're expecting you to take a side, and it's really hard, to validate everyone's feelings, but make sure that you're not taking a side. So it gets kind of tough, but it's still very enjoyable. Same thing with staff. Sometimes you get teachers who open up to you, and tell you all kinds of things, and sharing ideas about students, and sometimes other staff members, and and you got to kind of keep the peace. So one thing that I learned from Dr. Ackerman is be Switzerland. Be neutral. No matter what they say, be as neutral as you can be. Okay. Um, Also, realizing that sometimes students have more life experiences than we do. They go through so many things and that we may never ever experience. So, keeping that in mind, is really humbling at times, because you think sometimes like, hey, I'm an adult, I've done things, and then have someone who's lost her family, or who now has all this responsibility at home, and it's tough because it's something that we don't have to deal with, until we're older, and they're already picking up the slack now. So it's definitely humbling. And the last one I would say, one biggest surprise is caring for the students more than you ever thought you would. You hear everyone's stories and their dreams and their aspirations, and you're rooting for them, and you're there in the bad times and in the good times, and you find yourself thinking about them, even when you're not at work, or something happens and it reminds you of a student, and it's great. It's great because it validates the work that you're doing. It's like, yes, you're not only doing it because it's interesting, or the pay, because we all got to live, but it's also because you really enjoy working with the students, and that's something that's been really rewarding to me.